The camera was shaky. The voice was trembling. And the words that came out of Alex Eala's mouth stopped an entire nation in its tracks. Fresh off her historic Birmingham Open triumph, her second WTA 125 title, her first grass court championship, a career-high world number 33 ranking, the 21-year-old Filipina sat down for what was supposed to be a routine interview about her upcoming grass season. But instead of talking about rankings and tournaments, she looked directly into the lens and spoke from a place that few athletes ever dare to go. She opened up about the weight she carries, the sacrifices no one sees, and the moment she realized her dreams were no longer just her own. Within hours, millions of Filipinos were crying. Within days, the clip had been viewed over 50 million times. What did Alex Eala say that moved an entire nation to tears? And why is this being called the most emotional moment of her career? Birmingham, England. June 7, 2026. Edgbaston Priory Club. Center Court. The final point was a masterpiece. Eala's left-handed serve screamed down the tee. Nicola Bardankovas' return sailed long. The scoreboard read 6-2, 4-6, 6-3. 2 hours and 37 minutes of battle. The Czech curse that had haunted her across 13 straight attempts was finally broken. Eala fell to her knees on the grass. Her racket dropped from her hand. Her face disappeared into her palms. She had done it. Her second WTA 125 title. Her first grass court championship. A victory that would push her to a career-high ranking of world number 33. Philippine flags swept across the stands. 25,000 voices chanted her name. But when she rose to accept the trophy, she did not raise her arms in triumph. She did not pump her fist. She looked out at the sea of blue, red, and yellow, at the families who had crossed oceans, at the OFWs who had emptied savings accounts, and her eyes filled with tears. "I'm so honored to be lifting this trophy today," she said, her voice steady but thick with emotion. "But lifting this trophy does not mean that I will be among the greats yet." She paused, composed herself. "So, I'm motivated to keep working, and I'm grateful for the part that this trophy has played in my journey." The crowd roared, but the speech was not over. She turned to her opponent, her friend, her former doubles partner. "I'd also like to thank Nicola for those kind words, and of course congratulate you for an amazing week. It's one of those days I wish we could both win. This match was incredible. I think it was anyone's game." Then she looked back at the stands, at the children with painted faces, at the grandparents who had flown from Manila, at the OFWs who had taken precious vacation days to be standing in that stadium. "Mga kababayan, maraming salamat. Maraming salamat." The camera zoomed in. Tears were already streaming down faces in the crowd. But the real moment, the one that would leave millions of Filipinos weeping, was still to come. Birmingham, England. June 7, 2026. Edgbaston Priory Club. Trophy ceremony. The silver trophy gleamed in her hands. The flags waved across center court. 25,000 voices still chanting. But when Eala stepped to the microphone, she did not talk about the match. She did not talk about the points or the ranking or the history she had just made. She talked about home. "I like to say that home is a people and not a place," she said, her voice soft but carrying across the silent stadium. The words hung in the air like a prayer. Home is a people, not a place. For the overseas Filipino workers who had traveled from across the United Kingdom, who had taken precious vacation days, who had emptied savings accounts just to be there, the words landed like a thunderclap. Home is not Manila. Home is not Quezon City. Home is wherever the flags wave, wherever the chants rise, wherever kababayan gather to remind each other they are not alone. Eala continued, switching to Tagalog. "Aming salamat. So to my fellow countrymen, thank you very much for your support. There are so many of you here today. Thank you. Thank you." The cameras found a young girl in the front row, no older than 8, clutching a hand-painted sign that read, "Alex, you make us proud." Her face streaked with tears. Her mother holding her close, also crying. An elderly woman, Alola, who had flown from Manila to Birmingham, pressed a small Philippine flag to her lips, and closed her eyes as if in prayer. A father held his daughter on his shoulders. She was waving a flag so furiously her arm must have ached. The tennis world had seen champions give speeches before. It had heard thank yous and acknowledgments and tributes. But this was different. This was not a speech. This was a conversation between a champion and the diaspora that had carried her to the top. She was not finished. I'd also like to thank my coach right there and my team, and of course my family who's watching from home now. I love you guys. Then she turned back to the crowd one last time. To everyone who came throughout the week and withstood the weather, Maraming Salamat. The tears in her eyes matched the tears in the stands. She had broken the Czech curse. She had won her first grass court title. She had climbed to number 33 in the world. But the victory she seemed most proud of was not measured in ranking points. It was measured in flags, in chants, and in the faces of every Filipino who had crossed an ocean to watch her. Birmingham, England. June 7, 2026. Edgbaston Priory Club. Post-match press conference. The silver trophy sat on the table beside her. Flashbulbs popped. Questions came in waves. But Eala's mind seemed to be elsewhere. Back in Quezon City, where her journey began on cracked courts with faded lines and a torn net. A reporter asked about her greatest sacrifice. The room expected a safe answer. Training, perhaps. Time away from family. The standard athlete response. Eala paused. Her eyes glistened. I left home when I was 13, she said, her voice soft. I didn't see my parents for months at a time. I celebrated birthdays over video calls. I missed holidays, weddings, funerals. The room fell silent. You don't realize what you're sacrificing when you're that age. You just know you have a dream, and you chase it. And you don't look back because looking back hurts too much. She wiped a tear from her eye. My parents sacrificed everything. They put their dreams on hold so I could chase mine. My mom, she used to be a national swimmer. She knows what it takes. She knew what she was signing us up for. In the stands, Riza Eala, her mother, was watching. She was crying too. Eala spoke about the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca, where she had trained for years. The homesickness that never fully faded. The loneliness of being a teenager in a foreign country, speaking a foreign language, eating foreign food, missing the specific warmth of home that no amount of success can fully replace. You learn to adapt. You learn to find home in the people around you, in the teammates who become family, in the coaches who believe in you when you don't believe in yourself. Reporters scribbled furiously, but some had stopped writing. They were just listening. Eala looked directly into the camera, at the millions watching from Manila, from Dubai, from London, from everywhere Filipinos had scattered across the globe. I'm not just playing for myself. I'm playing for every Filipino who ever left home to chase a dream. Every OFW who works thousands of miles away from their children. Every mother and father who sacrifices so their kids can have a better life. She paused. I know what that feels like. I've lived it. I'm still living it. The room was silent. No one asked the next question. No one needed to. Alex Eala had already said everything. Birmingham, England. June 7th, 2026. The moment that stopped the world. The question came from a Filipino journalist who had flown from Manila specifically to cover the tournament. Her voice was trembling, not from nerves, but from emotion. Alex, you carry the hopes of 115 million Filipinos. How do you handle that pressure? The room, which had been buzzing with post-match energy, went completely still. Cameras zoomed in. Reporters put down their pens. Eala leaned into the microphone. She did not offer the standard response about focus and determination. She did not deflect with a rehearsed line about taking it one match at a time. She answered from somewhere far deeper than that. Pressure is part of my job, she said, her voice steady but soft. But it's nothing compared to the pressures that the regular Filipino has to face, providing for their families. The words landed like a prayer. It's nothing compared to what my parents have sacrificed to bring me here. The journalist who had asked the question wiped her eyes. Around the room, others followed. You know, sometimes when all of this attention and all this pressure gets overwhelming for me, I kind of repeat to myself that every person, all around the world, has their own struggles. She paused, collecting her thoughts. And that's what makes me feel small and go back to the ground. The room was completely silent. Not the silence of disinterest. The silence of reverence. In the end, it's a privilege to live up to my dreams. I am a professional tennis player. I have worked my whole life to be a professional tennis player. I'm at the top of the game. I have so much to be grateful for, despite the challenges that come with my job. These were not the words of an athlete placing herself above her struggles. They were the words of a champion placing her struggles inside a larger truth, that her battles, real as they were, existed alongside the battles of millions of Filipinos who faced far greater challenges just to survive each day. When she finished, the applause that followed was not the polite clapping of a press conference. It was the thunderous approval of people who had just heard their champion speak, not as an athlete, but as one of them. This was not the first time Eala had spoken this way. The world simply had not been watching closely enough before. At the Philippine Women's Open in Manila in January 2026, the first WTA event ever held on Philippine soil, she had faced a nearly identical question. And she had given nearly the same answer. The same words about pressure. The same words about regular Filipinos. The same words about her parents' sacrifice. That speech had gone viral within the Philippines. But it had stayed within the Philippines. In Birmingham, on an international stage, with the world's tennis press in the room, those same words carried entirely new weight. This time, the world was listening. The clip spread across social media like fire. Within hours, it had been viewed over 50 million times. The hashtag Eala on pressure trended at #1 in the Philippines, the United States, the United Kingdom, and Australia. From Manila, a fan posted, "I've been an OFW for 15 years. I've missed birthdays, anniversaries, funerals. And when Alex said pressure is nothing compared to what regular Filipinos face providing for their families, I broke down. She sees us. She understands us." Another wrote, "Every time I feel like giving up, I think of Alex. Not because she wins tennis matches, because she remembers where she came from. She never forgets us." A third, "She said home is a people, not a place." That's every OFW's life. We don't have a physical home anymore. We have our families. We have our kababayan. Alex gets it because she lived it. The speech was more than a press conference moment. It was a mission statement, a declaration that Eala understood the weight she carried and that she would carry it with grace. Not because she had to, because she chose to. London, England, June 8, 2026. The morning after. The tears have dried. The trophy has been packed away. The plane to London has landed. But the words Alex Eala spoke in Birmingham continue to echo across the Philippines and around the world. The grass season continues. Queen's Club awaits, where she will face her opening match at the HSBC Championships. Bad Homburg follows, where a wild card into the main draw offers a final opportunity to secure her Wimbledon seeding, and where she will partner with Venus Williams in doubles, a pairing that marks the first time the two will officially play together on the same side of the net. The schedule is relentless. The pressure is immense. The weight of representing 115 million Filipinos has not lifted. But something has shifted. Home is a people, not a place. Pressure is nothing compared to what regular Filipinos face providing for their families. Every person all around the world has their own struggles. Those words have reframed her journey. She is no longer just a tennis player chasing ranking points and tournament titles. She is a symbol of Filipino resilience, a living reminder that success is not only about what you achieve, but about who you remember along the way. I take so much pride in this, the effect that I've noticed I've had in inspiring a spark of tennis in my country. She had said earlier in the season, that spark has become a flame. The grass courts of London and Bad Homburg and Wimbledon are her stage. But the people she plays for are everywhere. In the stands waving Philippine flags, in living rooms across the archipelago staying up past midnight, in OFW dormitories around the world watching on their phones during breaks. I know that on international stages, I represent a huge demographic. It's really such an honor to have this huge support rallying behind me. I do my best to give back to them through my tennis and through my hard work." The tears at Birmingham were not a sign of weakness. They were a sign that she has never forgotten where she came from. And as she steps onto the grass for the most important stretch of her career, she carries more than her racket. She carries a nation. London awaits. Wimbledon is coming. Alex Eala's emotional words after capturing her first grass court title at the Birmingham Open left millions of Filipino fans in tears across the world. Pressure is nothing compared to what regular Filipinos face providing for their families. Home is a people, not a place. The clip reached 50 million views. The hashtag trended globally. And the tennis world witnessed something rare, a champion who has never once forgotten where she came from. If you want more stories about the emotion, the inspiration, and the extraordinary journey of Alex Eala, subscribe and join us, because the real stories in this sport are not just about winners and losers. They are about the players who carry their nations on their shoulders and never let them fall. What did you feel when you heard Alex Eala's words?